Parents die in a car wreck. A week or so later, I'm laying in bed, crying myself to sleep as usual. Hear a creak on the floor outside my room, and giggling. My dog perks up and starts growling like crazy. My mom slowly leans around the corner of the door. She looks different, and her movements are all wrong. Jerky and twitchy. Go to sleep, Anon, it'll all be better soon. It's her voice but sounds clotted somehow, my blood is ice water. My dog is whimpering and cowering now. Mom jerks back around the door. Another creak. My dad leans around the corner. It's okay, son, we're gonna be a family again soon. Just fall asleep, and giggles. Like my mom, his movements are all spastic and fucked up, his face is a grinning rictus. He jerks his head back out of sight. My heart is pounding. Quickly and quietly as I can, I grab my phone and dial 911 to report a home invasion at my address. I can hear movement and that insane giggling from the hallway. I'm laying there with tears rolling down my face from fear. I don't know how long it was until I saw flashing lights outside the house and muffled shouts. Hurried movement in the hallway, something crashes to the ground. Muffled shouts from downstairs as the cops come through the front door. Thank you, God. They search my house and afterward a cop approaches me white as a sheet. Anon, it's hard to tell you this but we found your parents' faces on the ground outside. That was almost 10 years ago. They never found the sick fucks that did it and I still have nightmares.
I'll have to paint a picture of the location to give you a sense of what made this so creepy. West Texas. Houses stand about a mile from each other. My house has a long driveway that meets the main highway. I stand next to this highway every morning waiting for the bus to take me to school. This story takes place when I'm already home though. 5th grade. Never really have friends over due to distance. Today is different. I'm playing with some action figures in my room. Alone. Knock at the front door. Mom goes to answer. After a moment she pokes her head into my room. There are some kids from school to see you, Anon. I'm too excited to realize how unusual this is. Race to the front door. See these kids I've never met. I will never forget how they looked. It's a boy and a girl. Today, I would recognize their clothing as something like boarding school clothes, maybe. Very old-timey style, coarse brown material, old-fashioned haircuts, the works. First thing I ask them is if I know them from school. No response. Then I ask their names. No response again. Finally I ask, who are you? Nothing, not a word, they don't even move. Just keep staring at me, I don't even remember them blinking. I should be spooked, but I'm too damn excited to have company. I tell them to wait right there and I'll get my toys. Run to my room, pick up my actions figures, run back out the door. The kids are gone. Like seriously vanished. Again, this is West Texas, so it's a lot of flat land, kinda like pick related, only my house wasn't run down and I did have a couple of small trees around it. I run around back thinking the kids have gone behind the house. Again, it's virtually flat with no trees, I can see a long distance. Not a soul. I run back around and look down the driveway that ends at the highway. Nobody there. I run down to the highway and look down both sides of the road. Empty. Sit on the porch confused for a long while. I wait maybe 20 minutes. Maybe longer. Kids never show back up. Eventually go back inside. Mom's been inside cleaning and cooking. Tell her what happened. She's busy so she shrugs it off. Years later. Bring it back up. Do you remember that one day, those kids showed up and then disappeared? Don't even mention what the kids look like. But Mom knows right away. She tells me, I actually thought those kids were really creepy. They were dressed up in old-timey clothes and they had this really weird way of talking. I never heard them speak, so I ask her what they talked like. Like English robots or something. Still don't have an explanation. There's nowhere those kids could have been hiding. Even if it was a prank, they would have had to find those old get UPS and walk who knows how long to get to my house.
From the last spooky green text thread. Be 8-year-old kid in the 90s. At a friend's house after school. Friend's family has extensive VHS collection, we're going through them trying to find a movie to watch. Friend gets called upstairs by his dad. Dad was a bit of a hard ass, I think he was in trouble for something. Continue going through VHS tapes, finally find one I want to watch, I think it was one of the Ernest movies, LOL. Except the tape inside doesn't match the cover, it's missing the label with the movie title. Put it in the VCR. It's a home movie. Looks like they must have set up a tripod in the doorway of the living room because you can see the whole room in a wide shot. Dad and mom are sitting on the couch, spaced apart. Friend and his sister are each in a chair opposite them. Wait 30 seconds to happen, nothing does. Press fast forward. They're literally just sitting there, not even talking or moving. Get the feeling there's something weird and fucked up about this. Hear my friend coming downstairs. Quickly eject the tape and put it back. Never ask him about it. He moves away. Still think about this sometimes.
I went to middle/high school in this tiny Texas town that had more fields than buildings. It was a really spread out town with nothing but cows and old decrepit houses. Only had one gas station, school district, and like 3 restaurants. I lived out in a kinda old house pretty far from the school, meaning there was a lot of fields I could just kinda walk in. I'd walk to old abandoned houses and stuff just to kinda explore and see. I was a dumb teenager and it seemed like a smart idea. I took a big stick with me and naturally that was enough. I had a house I really liked because it had tons of bees in it. They had made the walls into their hive and it was really cool. Bees are cute, don't at me. It also had some books, mostly history textbooks for some reason. And a ton of burnt out candles and old dried/torn towels. I took a friend out with me once to show him the bee house and I noticed that for once, some of the stuff was moved around. I wasn't too spooked, we had a lot of immigrants from Mexico pass through so I figured it was just that. But it felt weird. The candles were picked up and moved to another room as if they were all just thrown in the corner. The bees had also moved. I was just in there a few days ago. But I realized then that the bees were never in the same room as the candles. Might have been that they didn't like the smoke or whatever. There were a few spiral notebooks now, with some blood and feces on them. And they just said, rise, 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 in some, and mind beyond. There were a few shovels that I don't think were there before. As much as I loved the bees, I didn't go back there. For some reason, this spooked me. My friend stole a history book from there and I remember he showed me that several pages had X's crossing out historical events. I didn't like that he took the book and asked that he put it back, but he said he burned it in his fire pit. I do remember that we had some bees make a hive near our house some months after that.
This isn't a childhood story as it just happened to me today. For context, I live in a private house with 3 floors, the first of which is separate from the 2 other floors. Be me today. Grandma recently passed away from old age. She used to live on the first floor of our house. Me and my brother are alone in the house. Parents left for a trip around 2 days ago. It's around 10:30 p.m. we decide to watch movie. Want to make popcorn but have no cooking oil in kitchen. Call mom, ask her if there is any left. Says check in grandma's house. Go down with brother, look in her kitchen but find nothing. Go back upstairs and start watching movie. Around 11 p.m. hear loud bang from the first floor. Go down with bro, check outside the door and see nothing. Lock door and go back on second floor to finish movie. Finish movie around 12:30 and go on third floor to sleep. Around 1 a.m. as I'm sitting in bed hear really loud bang again from first floor. Tell my brother who was sleeping. We go outside in the balcony to check but don't see shit. It's 1:43 a.m. now and I don't know WTF to do.
This happened when I was elementary school age or near that. Be me playing in my room. I'm standing up and I'm just 2 meters, or less, away from my room door. I hear knocking on one of glass part the door has. Now the door has glass parts but you can't really see through them and the hallway connecting my room to other rooms was dark. I happily run to my door and open it expecting to see my dad because he does that sometimes. Hallway is empty. Oh shit. This hallway is like 7 m long from my room to living room and when my dad or my mom walks there I can easily hear them walking because it echoes a little bit. There was no sound this time. Scared I run to the living room. I open the door and see everyone just chilling on the couches. Doors are old and wooden with metal doorknobs and one to living room makes this screeching sound every time you open it. I didn't hear that as well and it was closed. I don't say anything so they don't think I'm autistic. My big bro was also with us but he was also chilling in the living room. If it was one of them they must have passed that hallway faster than me reaching my door and get into living room without making any sound which is impossible in my eyes.
9 or 10 yo. Cousin always visits since I'm his only friend and vice versa. It was the middle of the afternoon, my parents were working so we were alone playing video. Hear some shit going down in the kitchen so we go check it out. The faucet was open. Close it and head back to my room. Shortly after we hear fucking footsteps just outside the room, at the hall. The living room TV turns on the highest fucking volume possible. Too scared to move at this point. Eventually we decide to man up and run through the apartment and go to our grandma's house. And so we did. As I was locking the main building's door, I looked back at the direction of my apartment. Remember like it was yesterday, seeing a little girl, frowning, kind of hiding behind the corner of the wall. Had pale skin, short channel black hair, a little ribbon onto it, and she wore a cute little white dress. She looked sad but puts her palm up, as if saying hello. Freeze to my knees and run to Nana's place. A few years later I had another experience with whom I believe was the very same little girl. After that I dream about her from time to time. She never said a word in those dreams but always smiles and plays about. She even gave me a flower once just before I woke up. Can say she is my second oldest friend. That is, if I'm not a schizo. I can tell the other story if requested. Writing on mobile sucks ass. Not really that creepy but it scared the fuck out of me at the time. Be me 15 at the time. Live in a fairly new house on old land. Little sister whose room is adjacent to mine always says there's a ghost in her closet but I chalk it up to her being a little retard. One night I'm trying to go to sleep and the room was pitch black. Notice a light going up and down inside of my closet as if someone's inside shining a flashlight on the cracks of the door from the inside. Closet is tiny as fuck on the inside and there's no way anyone in my family could have gotten in. Try to tell myself it's just reflections from the car lights outside but then I realized there was no way it was possible with my curtains. Basically just lay there and shit myself because I'm too pussy to check inside closet. Shit happens every so often always when I'm laying in bed. Ignore and go to sleep every time I see it cause fuck that shit.
Be me, 16, 2006. Mom homeschools me and sister. Also babysits my cousin's daughter. During our lunch break we're sitting in the living room watching TV. Cousins goes down the hallway towards the laundry room. Me and sister hear her talking to someone. Our grandparents live next door so maybe grandma needed something. Mom goes to check and see, me and sis go too. Cousin is by herself, even though we 100% heard an older woman's voice. Mom asks her who she was talking to. A lady named Sue. No one in our family is named Sue. Mom asks her where Sue went. The girl points at the floor. She's hiding. Everyone is very weirded out at this point and getting chills. Mom decides to have us get our shoes and jackets and go over to grandma's house for a while. Cousin's daughter is standing with her back to the hallway waiting for us to finish putting on our shoes. All of a sudden, the little girl drops to the floor, like her legs got kicked out from under her. Starts being drugged by her hair down the hallway, kicking, flailing and screaming. Mom runs after her shouting get away from her. Mom grabs her, and we book it out of the house. The house was rebuilt around 2003, and for about 10 years, the hallway gave off this very unsettling, claustrophobic vibe. We hated going down the hallway at night. It also felt like something was right behind us. I've had a lot of other experiences in this house too, but it seems to have calmed down a lot in the last 5 or 6 years.
Sitting downstairs watching TV. Hear sister shout my name from upstairs. Call out to let her know I'm downstairs. She runs down screaming, saying I was sitting on my bed in my room just staring at the floor. Few years later, after me and sis swapped bedrooms. Go to walk downstairs. See sister sitting on her bed. Speak to her, she doesn't look up from the floor. Go downstairs. Actual sister is in the kitchen. That house was fucking haunted for real, and that room in particular was off the charts freaky energy.
Okay, to know how to green text, and I'm old. Anyway, as a kid I frequently had nightmares. Bad ones. From the age of 1 to 12, more or less. Apparently my first experience, mother told me this, was that as a baby, I would not stop crying until she had removed a vintage clown stuffy from my room. That was just a side note. This part is what happened regularly. Lived in smaller town, in a log house built by oil companies 60 years ago for working residents. Kinda creepy to begin with, very dark, had a cold storage room, and one room that never had anything in it, just bare brick foundation walls and some shitty 60s flat carpet. Now, every few nights, I would have these nightmares. Christian family, so we would pray and I would go to sleep happy as a pig in shit. I was told by my pastor that I was very sensitive to the supernatural world. This was just something I eventually got over, had my nightmare, prayed, fell back asleep, although uneasy. This is where it got weird. My sliding closet doors seemed to open, just a few inches, in the night. I would see dark figures. Now I'm a kid, so I was aware that this could just be light playing tricks. Big window to let in moonlight and all. Then it got more intense. Several years, randomly, every few months, my bed would shake. Not like a gentle vibration from heart racing, but legit off the frame, side to side, up and down shake. I would hold on for dear life to my sheets, mustering up the courage to speak out loud and pray. It would last for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, as long as it took me to actually be able to utter words from fear. We moved when I was about 12.5, to a new home. That's when I find out, hardcore Christian keep mind, that the back basement room I spoke of housed a rather large and aggressive demon summoned by witches. We confirmed with a former warlock who converted to Christianity in my church, he knew them. So that was a fun childhood. While growing up, I had a couple of weird, random experiences I could never really explain. Sure, you could say it was just a kid's imagination, but the fact that they were random and sometimes reoccurring makes it seem like strange things for a kid to just imagine. The basement was dangerous sometimes. As soon as I'd step off the stairs, I'd get an uneasy feeling. The type of feeling you get when you're somewhere you know you're not supposed to be. Suddenly feel like I'm being watched and feels like someone or something is right behind me. Fight the feeling enough to grab clothes. Survival instincts kick in and felt like I had to run for my life. Run upstairs like a flash of lightning. Be too scared to go back into the basement for a few days. Here's another. Sometimes would hear loud banging from the basement. At first tell myself it's just the pipes because the house is old. But if it's pipes, then why don't I hear the banging more often when the furnace, water heater, or whatever is running? Then tell myself it's just rats knocking things over. But if it's rats, then why haven't I seen droppings or signs of them in the kitchen or storage? Rats also can't keep a rhythm. Decide to spy on the basement through the laundry chute. It sounds like the dryer door is being opened and slammed shut repetitively. But there's no light, so clearly no one is downstairs. The dryer isn't on because I don't hear its electric humming and it wasn't laundry day. The banging goes on for 2 to 3 minutes before stopping. One more reoccurring thing. Develop the habit of staying up all night during the summer. Be up playing video games until dawn and then sleep. Sometimes I'd randomly smell the strong scent of a cigar in the middle of the night in my room. No one in my family smokes, let alone would smoke a cigar. No one is up, so no one lit a candle or anything that would smell like a cigar. Hadn't been around anyone who did smoke cigars, so it's not the scent was stuck to the fabric on my clothes. A few times I'd check outside just to make sure the neighbor wasn't up smoking one in case it was coming through the window. The scent would be around for a little bit and then disappear. I was always the only one who could smell it, and it would only be in my room. I've since then moved out of the house and moved across the country. Yet, I sometimes still smell a lit cigar randomly even I'm in a totally different, newer house. The smell seems to only happen in the evenings or night, and I'm still the only one who ever smells it. I'll even ask people around me if they smell anything when it happens, and they always say no.
Okay, this is pretty fucking lame story in comparison to most others. Be me. 15. Have 3 friends over one night. Playing video, eating pizza, drinking beers and smoking weed. We decide to go for a walk to get snacks because we stoned. It's not too late, so shops will be open. We decide to explore underneath this bridge where drain water comes through. We get under the bridge and are hanging out acting like retards playing with old graffiti cans. I look up and I vividly remember this. The bridge was about 4 to 8 meters above the drains. It's dark but I can see him. There's a man hanging from a rope. He's dead. My heart skips a beat and I begin internally freaking out. I swear to God he's dead, but his eyes are looking right at me. He's pale, wearing a suit and just hanging from under the bridge. Dude, what the fuck? My friends notice I'm looking at the body and freak out. It gets really eerie under that bridge. The water drain doesn't get any light from the road and it's basically pitch black 6 feet ahead of you in all directions. We book it. We didn't even get snacks, we just ran all the way home. Back at mine, we're just in my room talking quietly even though we're home alone. I've never been so shaken up in my life. Never seen a dead body before. One friend broke down crying and called his mom to get picked up and go home. The 3 of us can't sleep, so we stay up all night watching dumb comedies until we pass out. Next morning we eat breakfast and decide to head back and call the police. We walk to the bridge and go under it again. The body is gone. Weirdest part though, was that there wasn't anything on the news about it. No missing persons, no dead bodies, no crimes reported. It's like it never happened. I never mentioned it to my parents, but I wish I did. Fuck, I was just so scared though. I still have dreams where I'm walking late at night and I find his body again. I hate these dreams. I always see him in my dreams.
I have 3 that have to do with lights/ghost things. First one had just turned the lights off to go to sleep in my room with my ex. I look at the ceiling and there's a glowing white light on the light. The light bulb was one of those upside down dome things, and no, it wasn't the light that I had turned off, but it was near it, just not in the spot. I started screaming and ran to turn my light on. Didn't sleep in the dark for a few months after that. Next occurrence was the next year. I kept seeing these weird green lights shinging through my blinds. They were almost like a laser pointer, but not clean dots, just a glob of lights. When I looked outside I didn't see anything, and whenever I called my roommate and it would disappear as soon as he opened the door. One time my GF saw it though and was freaked out as well. Someone the floor above us jumped off the balcony and suicided that year. My roommate also got sleep paralysis and saw gas mask/med scientist entity, and I also saw an Egyptian masked entity in sleep paralysis there. Bad juju all the way around. The last one was the scariest. It was a week after my brother died. I was staying at my girlfriend's apartment since he died in my house and I couldn't stay there anymore. I woke up to the feeling of something's presence. I opened my eyes and this floating hand with a red light coming from its palm was hovering over my asleep GF, inches from her face, like it was going to do some shit to her. I'm getting goosebumps typing this one because of how fucking scary it was, brothers. As soon as it saw me it withered away and disappeared. Here's another 2 that occurred at different times while I was driving from my hometown to my college town at night. The first time I was driving from my college town and was driving my friend. He was handling GPS and he had us miss a turn so we don't go on the highway but take some creepy back roads. This is probably at 11 or 12 at night. As we're driving, I had a bad feeling, and this beat up old sedan drives next to us. All 4 people in it have fucking creepy ass purge masks, and as they're next to us they wave at us. Then I speed up and they get behind us and follow us for 30 minutes. Probably some hillbillies trying to fuck with us, but still was the chance it was some satanic or serial killer thing. Really freaked me out. The next trip was also at night and I was driving a different friend back. Again I missed some turns, so we take the back roads, lol. The weekend before I listened to some dipshit on Joe Rogan podcast about aliens. I think his name was Greer, and he explained how you can call aliens with your mind, so the last 2 days I was standing outside trying to do that. Didn't think it worked until that drive back to my college town with my friend. I was telling him about it, and then we see these blinking lights / orbs in the sky. I point them out. Probably just a helicopter, plane, drone, whatever. I notice that they're following us, blinking, changing colors, turning and going really fast. We start getting freaked out. As we continue to see these things all over, we pass a farm field. Again, this is the middle of the night and the road was single lane, pitch black, no cars around us. We see something glowing in the field. As we drive by and look at it, I shit you not, it's some kind of metal contraption like a fucking spacecraft in the middle of the field with an orange glow around it. He screams to drive, and for about 30 minutes I haul ass going 110-ish. My dad gave me his old Mercedes AMG so it can really rip without damaging the wheels or anything.
You're right, it is 100% spooky. Speaking of organ-related memes. Some children's hospital not far from me. 4 children with serious illnesses and problems that they're unlikely to survive. For decades, grieving parents make accusations that the kids are basically being killed for their organs, and the ones who die naturally are having their organs taken from them. Hospital completely denies this and says the high death rate is because the children have serious issues and that's why they're there in the first place. About 15 years ago, one set of parents bring this all up again because they requested the body to bury, but instead the hospital cremated the body without their consent and just gave them an urn full of ashes. They explain they started that process a few years earlier because it was too heartbreaking for the families to receive the full bodies, and it was easier if they were cremated beforehand. But the parents claim it's so there's no proof any of the organs were taken. Eventually they get in touch with other parents who did receive bodies. It wasn't like the bodies were in a body bag, they were already in sealed coffins ready to be buried. When they gave them to the parents, more than a few have the coffins exhumed and opened. Totally empty except for some baby clothes and scrap metal to act as weight. No sign of any body at all, no bones or nothing. One family empties their urn and finds unironic cigarette butts among the ash. Whole place gets raided and people start getting sentenced. One of the top doctors / surgeons who'd been there like 30+ years comes clean and admits they took the organs. Refuses to answer if any kids were murdered. Refuses to answer what they did with the organs. Turns out they didn't even have a crematoria. Dig up the grounds and there's literally thousands of children's bodies. Doctor / surgeon agrees to explain everything that happened in return for a sentence reduction afterwards. CPS agrees. Hangs himself 2 days later.
I'm so glad you reminded me of my great experiences in an intensive ward couple years back. Saw this shit firsthand. Recovering from OD. Nighttime. 4 more people in our room, all hooked up to machines. I don't know if it's instinct, but all of a sudden my heart started pounding like something was after me. Then could make out footsteps from the hall. Paranoid as fuck for some reason. Nurse walks in, slowly scans the room. Pretend to be asleep. Heart monitor over 9,000. Walks to the other end of the room. An elderly lady. Completely senile. The whole waking day before, she'd just laugh in the most horrific manner possible. Almost like she was possessed. Senile people are fun that way. Kept alive via oxygen support, which would make her giggle even more. Okay, tangent over. Back to original story. The nurse walks over to her bedside. Few seconds pass by. All of a sudden her heart monitor stops. He unhooks her support systems. Wheels her out. My heart's pounding like Podesta WA 5 years old at this point. Think WTF, always felt something sinister about hospitals. Realize all my fears had a basis. Half an hour pass, I drift back to sleep. They wake me before dawn and move me to another room because I don't know. Fuck, I still get emotional when I think about that.